Hello, 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 and welcome to You Gonna Learn Today. Today I bring you a story from another neglectful parent, and this time it is a father out of Beech Grove, Indiana. And the headline reads, Man arrested after toddler seen wielding a weapon on camera. And this was a firearm. Beech Grove, Indiana. An Indiana man has been arrested and faces neglect charges after a toddler was captured on security camera footage wielding a loaded firearm. Shane Osborne, 45, is charged with dangerous control of a firearm, which means providing a firearm to a child, and 2 counts of neglect of a dependent. On January 14, 2023, Beech Grove police were dispatched to a local apartment complex after a neighbor called 911 reporting an armed child outside of her apartment. The boy, wearing only a diaper, was reportedly standing in the corridor holding a chrome firearm and pointing it at people, according to the police report. Neighbors led the officers to the apartment of Shane Osborne, who was caring for the 4-year-old boy whose mother was sick at the time. Osborne told police he was sick also and sleeping when the child wandered out of the apartment without him knowing. After initially denying knowledge of the firearm, police then obtained security footage of the incident from a neighbor, which corroborated the complaint. After eventually searching Osborne's apartment, police asked the child where he put his toy, while displaying his hand in the form of a firearm. The boy pointed to a roll-top desk in the living room and said, "Pew, pew," while motioning toward the desk. Inside, they found a 9mm handgun containing 15 live rounds. There was no live round in the chamber, according to the report. Osborne told police the firearm belonged to his cousin, who sometimes left the firearm in his apartment when he felt mentally unstable. Osborne told the officers he did not own any firearms because he had prior felony convictions. The officers arrested Osborne and transported him to the Marion County Jail. The boy was returned to his mother's home. According to the court documents, Osborne had prior arrests in 10 different Indiana counties, 7 of which he was convicted. A quote, "Far too often we see cases involving small children having access to firearms. Too many children in our community are placed at risk as a result of irresponsible firearm ownership. The alleged conduct is egregious example of the importance of practicing safe storage," Marion County Prosecutor Ryan Mears says in a statement on Thursday. Beech Grove Mayor Dennis Buckley released the following statement after seeing the footage released by the police department. Quote, "I received notification from our police chief soon after the incident took place. As all of you know, I am mortified at what took place, and I am thankful that no one was hurt, especially the young child. I appreciate the quick action taken by the Beech Grove Police Department to secure the small child and the firearm in question. I ask that the Marion County Prosecutor's Office works tirelessly to secure charges and conviction against the responsible parties with maximum penalties." There's also a video that goes along with this article. And because of the um, policies of YouTube, I can't show you the video. But in the video, as I would describe for you, the toddler is seen in the corridor of the apartment complex, which is outside. So once he left his father's apartment, he was then outside. He was seen on what seems to be maybe the second level in front of some apartment doors, and he was waving the weapon in the air, playing with it like an innocent child would. He was waving it back and forth, making noises, playing with himself. Allegedly, he eventually made it to another neighbor's home where he was witnessed with the firearm. It was alleged that he pointed the weapon at the caller's child, and then she called 911. When 911 arrived on the scene, they went up to Shane's apartment, who was found sleeping on the couch. Shane told the officers that he was sick and he was unaware that his toddler had even left outside of the apartment. Shane first denied that there was even a firearm located on the property out of the fear, in my opinion, of being jailed again because of his prior felonies in most states, and I'm pretty sure it might be for all states. Felons are not to be in possession of any firearms. Then the officers searched the home and they did not locate the firearm. While leaving Shane's apartment, a neighbor stopped them and told them what they witnessed and also provided ring camera footage to the officers, which displayed the toddler in the corridor waving the firearm around. Now the police have evidence. They go back to Shane's apartment, tell Shane that they have evidence now. They saw the child on camera. And then that's when they question the child to where's his toy. And that's when the child directs them to the desk. After finding the weapon, they discover that it was fully loaded with a clip, 15-round clip, but there was not a bullet in the chamber, thankfully. As you all know, I am investigation station, so I went a little further than the article and I was able to find the motion for his bond, the standard. He was trying to receive bond, and this is the prosecutor motion to the court to try to get his bond denied. So this is the state of Indiana, county of Marion, state of Indiana versus Shane Osborne, motion for greater than standard bond. And it reads, comes now the state of Indiana by the deputy prosecuting attorney and requests that the court set bond in this matter in an amount greater than the standard bond. So what the prosecutor office was asking for was that if there was a bond, that it would be set higher than what is normally the standard for such charges, or that they revoke his bond altogether for several reasons, which we will list later. It states the state hereby notifies the court of its objection to the defendant's release on his own recognizance. In support of this objection, the state will show the court as follows. So now the state is giving the court the reasons why they feel that Shane bond should be revoked. And here are the reasons. It says, 1, the following factors demonstrate the defendant's instability and disdain for the court's authority to bring him to trial. And it says, A, the above named defendant has a history of failing to appear for court hearings. B, the above named defendant committed the present offense while released on bond on his or her own recognizance for a prior offense, that is domestic battery, as a level 6 felony and or intimidation under 33 CO2 2102 F6 00061 in Henry County. So the court states that before this situation happened, they trusted Mr. Osborne to be released on his own recognizance, on his own good faith, on his own word. And look, his actions brought him back here. So why should we trust him again to release him? Because he was already released previously on a domestic battery level 6 charge, and he's back. And C says the above named defendant has prior arrests in 10 different Indiana counties, resulting in prior convictions in 7 of those counties. It says additionally, the defendant possesses a risk to the physical safety of other person or the community. As described in the probable cause affidavit filed in the case, the defendant poses a direct threat to the welfare of his child and his neighbors and their children through his neglectful and careless actions. The defendant is a convicted felon with a pending case and had an unsecured and loaded firearm in his residence. And it goes on to give the counts which Mr. Osborne is to be charged with. And it says, on this day, the undersigned deputy prosecuting attorney of the 9th Judicial Circuit, being duly sworn on his or her oath or having affirmed, says that in Marion County, Indiana, on or about January the 14th, 2023, Shane Osborne, being an adult, did recklessly provide a firearm to a child, to wit, K.O., which they're describing a child because he's a minor child. They would not include his name, for any purposes other than a purpose to describe in section 3547.10.1. Count 2, on or about January the 14th, 2023, Shane Osborne, having the care of K.O., a dependent, did knowingly place said dependent in a situation that endangered the dependent's life or health, to wit, leaving K.O. unattended and in possession of a firearm, that is, a loaded handgun. Count 3, on or about January 14, 2023, Shane Osborne, having the care of K.O., a dependent, did knowingly place said dependent in a situation that endangered the dependent's life or health, to wit, leaving K.O. unattended and able to leave the residence through the unlocked front door while only wearing a diaper, all of which is contrary to the statute and against the peace and dignity of the state of Indiana. The rest just lists the affidavit of probable cause, which they had to arrest Mr. Osborne and to bring these charges forth. It is in my opinion that Mr. Osborne is 150% responsible for endangering his child. He was the caregiver at that time. The child was left in his care, which means he was responsible for whatever happened while the child was in his custody. Sick or not, there is never an excuse why there should be a loaded weapon or an unloaded weapon in reach of a child. As a weapon owner, we have a responsibility to store our firearms properly when children are around. The fact that the toddler was able to retrieve this weapon so effortlessly and to walk out of the front door with a loaded weapon without the knowledge of his father is unacceptable, and he should be held accountable. I believe in God, so I'm going to say thank God that that child, the neighbors, or the neighbor children who were also in that corridor were not injured, because it was alleged by the neighbor who called 911 that the child was seen pulling the trigger of that firearm. What if there was one live round in the chamber? This is the chance he took when he so carelessly left his child unattended with a weapon at his reach. Whether or not it was his cousins that he claimed to leave it there when he is mentally unstable or not, that child was in Mr. Osborne's care. Therefore, he is fully responsible of the action of that toddler and should be held accountable at the highest degree. Let this be a lesson to those who have the privilege, and yes, there is a privilege to own a weapon and to have one in your home. And although he had one in his home, in my opinion, illegally, to those who are privileged to have one in their home legally, or whether there's one in your home period, we have a responsibility to make sure the children and anyone who you think that may come in contact with that firearm and may get themselves in trouble or put anyone else in harm's way. It's that your responsibility to know where your firearm is at all times. You are responsible for what happens to your weapon and with your weapon. Let this be a lesson. Leave your comments in the comment box and let's have a discussion down there. That's it for me. Thank you all for the love, support, prayers, calls, inbox, and messages that you all have sent to me. I am healing well. Can't wait to get back to get on live with you all. In the meantime, always remember that I love you all from the bottom of my heart, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.